In this episode of Mind Shock, we're going to be talking about the power principles of quantum field psychology, the foundation of our brand new film, The Endless Question, free now on Amazon Prime. You don't want to miss these power principles. They are incredible.
Get ready for Mind Shock with Dr. RonDalrymple, the premier podcast in the world, bringing you hidden truths about your mind's incredible powers. Get ready to free your mind.
The power principles we're discussing today have to do with how to conquer your life while really trying. You must apply effort and work towards these principles and make them work. They don't come out of nowhere. So the law of attraction, for example, only works when you work at many different levels to make it operational. So our stunning new documentary, The Endless Question, is a mind shock journey into the true final frontier, that of our minds. It's not space, it's inner space. Our first premise is that the mind is an energy field that transcends the human brain. Now this shocks many scientists who tend to have more of a biogenic orientation or even a so-called psychogenic orientation, which means they think the brain is supreme, that when the brain dies, that the mind dissolves as well. We have the opposite point of view, that the mind transcends the brain and lives beyond the brain, which has many implications for spiritual concepts. Now, our first premise is expressed as a Fourier wave, which is the W, the waveform, equals the integral, or the summation of K, or spatial frequency, times A, or amplitude, times P for phase, and these are summed across many different thoughts. So each KAP represents one thought emotion complex that you fixate upon within your mind and project. So the mind is constantly projecting energy. And the thing is, most folks send out erratic forms of energy, which go in many different directions, which then self-sabotage. Now, as you'll see in the waveform on your screen, you'll see many amplitudes co-varying or pumping out from the mind continuously in lots of different directions. So what does this do? It causes many different effects in your life, often uncontrolled and random. The number of thoughts occurring in synchrony can approach infinity, and there's ways to train your brain, train your mind, which transcends the brain, train your mind so what you focus upon can increase much greater amplitudes of energy. When you bring them in phase and increase the amplitude, what you can create and project forth is absolutely amazing. Energy projects outward from the mind following this formula. This was first cast in 1978. It's known as Dalrymple's law, where energy equals m times f squared over the square root of 1 minus f squared over c squared. What this means is, as you increase the frequency of your thoughts towards a much higher level, which we'll talk about in a moment, then the energy you project actually approaches infinity. This is what the transfiguration was about, spoken about in ancient times, where you transform yourself into a much higher energy state and then are capable of great things. This means that as we raise the frequency of our thoughts to higher levels, we generate more energy and more power over our lives and the world around us, and of course to other people. Let's look at this another way. Another way is that the energy is a summation of m sub I times f sub I squared. Now, this sounds complicated, it's really not. It just means that every thought emotion complex in your mind can be expressed in a mathematical way, which brings us into the realm of hard science and a very different approach as opposed to the statistical analyses in mental health before. Again, it's really very simple. It's a summation of values where each value is, or each m of I, equals dt of I divided by dt of I. So we're co-varying your thoughts versus the accompanying emotions. So those of you from a scientific background know about differential equations. It simply means that you can analyze your thoughts, your changing thoughts with the changing emotions attached to them. So each T equals a thought we fixate upon or hold resonant in our minds. Each E is the emotion, or we abbreviate emote, E-M-O-T, attached to that thought we abbreviate T-H-O-T. You'll see on the screen below. Now, dt equals the rate of change of the thought as the thought varies. de equals the rate of change of the emotion attached to the thought. So think about this. Every thought and emotion you fixate in your mind co-varies constantly. And the more you learn to train what you focus upon and how you feel about it, the more powerfully you project these energies to the world around you. That's a tremendous secret not commonly known. So for example, suppose you have a job which you really hate. Suppose you have a supervisor who is really an oppositional, negative type person, which can happen, right? Let's say you feel hatred towards your job. Then we have the rate of change of the job, or D, job, divided by D of hate. So you attach hate to thoughts about your job. This means the rate of change of thought relative to the rate of change of the emotion. So we live in a tensor field of quadrillions of variables, where every variable changes continuously relative to every other variable. So things are constantly changing around us in a continuous manner. Think of the energy projected from the mind by our thought emotion fixations. Every time you think about your job, you project hatred towards it. What happens? People at work feel it. You make more enemies. Your work suffers. Your evaluations suffer. You become more dissatisfied, as do those around you. Who made this happen? You did, as did those whom you affected, because they reflected back to you. And so it increases the effect. The thought and emotional energy generated projects to the world around you and is reflected back to you in similar form. So what happens is karma, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, Newton's third law, all these equations pertain. And we'll come back in a moment, folks, with more on this. We're going to take a short break. Have you ever been on a bus or in a store and you feel somebody's eyes upon you? You turn around, you look directly at them. Now, how is that possible? How could you feel that? Today we're going to talk about a whole new theory of mind called quantum field psychology. We're back now with mind shock. So think about karma, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, Newton's third law. The energy we project outward reflects back to us in similar form. Many times it's exponentially increased in terms of the power of it, depending upon how powerful was the projections we sent out. Overall, we create an energy field around us. Now, if it's a negative energy field, we repel people from us and we attract to us negative events and perhaps very negative people who might share our beliefs, our feelings. So instead of attracting positive events in people, we attract more negative events in people. We see this in personalities who stay stuck upon these thoughts and then go downhill over a long period of time and more or less degenerate into deeper and deeper cycles of self-destruction. We don't want that. Instead, we want to do the opposite. We want to create ourselves constantly at a higher and higher level of energy. Now, amazingly, this process can now be explained scientifically by our new theory presented within the film, The Endless Question. Again, available now on Amazon Prime for free, folks. You don't want to miss this. Suppose you change your thoughts you have about your job. Changing, let's say, T1 minus T2. In other words, you have a certain thought about your job, which is very negative. You start to transform into a much more negative perception of your job. For example, having an attitude of gratitude about the things you like about it. Being thankful for the fact you have a job. Loving the fact that you get up every day, you're feeling okay, you're feeling healthy, you go to work, you're making money, you focus on the positive aspects and you dwell upon those. This will affect the job and those around you and how you feel physically. Also, you change the emotions about it. You change the hatred towards it to a love for it. You love the fact you have a job. You love the fact that you have the opportunity to produce something in the world, to give to the world, and the world will give back. This new change in your perspective and positive emotions about it will then create more harmony around you and then attract back to you much better circumstances, including down the road, hopefully, a job change, job promotion, and so forth. So as you change how you see the job, this changes how you feel about it as well. So the thoughts and emotions are attached together. Now, we gave an example here just showing, say, one thought and one emotion. What really happens is that we have billions, quadrillions, septillions of thoughts and emotions projected out constantly into our energy field and into the world around us. This creates a huge constellation of energy projected outward. So think about the enormous complexity of this. It creates a very different energy field when you think positive, and it reflects back to you in a very different manner. So in the past, the point's been made to think positive. This goes way back. People realize the power of positive thinking. Now we have a way to look at it scientifically using mathematics, calculus, and especially topological mathematics, which we incorporate in the book Quantum Field Psychology. Again, that's probably too complicated for a lot of folks, so we made it easy in the film, in the documentary, simply to explain how it works so all can get it, not the mind itself. Most importantly, you control how you hold your thoughts, how you see your thoughts, and how you feel about them. So you are in control. You are the creator of your life on a microcosmic scale, as opposed to the macrocosmic scale of the higher power. So we are not the higher power, we're more of a vehicle for a higher power passing through us. As we change the structure of thoughts and emotions, we allow greater and greater powers to pass through us and to manifest in the world around us. You can prove this to yourself. It's hard to prove in a laboratory in the reductionistic approaches of the past, going back to the scientific method, which is great for many things. But here we have billions and billions of variables we're looking at. But you can prove it to yourself by learning to dwell upon the positive, feel love for all things, love yourself, love those around you, project those kinds of energies, and things really start to change in your life, including your health, your well-being, your prosperity, and your success. Another image below, you'll see the projection of thought from like the center of the energy field, and it projects outward in many different levels to the world around you, influencing many things. Now, the intensity of the energy pulsed from that central source, in other words, from your mind, projects outward to the external world. In fact, the intensity of the thought wave, or waves, projected is the amplitude squared of the wave. So I, the intensity, equals the amplitude squared. This gives us clues how to increase that amplitude, how to increase our energy field, in a positive way, of course. So to increase the amplitude of the wave, we must increase the frequency. The frequency is increased by many different means. Detoxification of the mind, emotions, body, and spirit is essential. We must detoxify and change how we think, how we feel, and how we act. Even our spiritual beliefs, we must transform, because a lot of the spiritual beliefs of the past, this is no offense to anybody out there in their beliefs, but we find that science and spirit fit together. And so folks might look at their belief systems. So we must detoxify the mind by what we think about, detoxify the emotions by how we feel, detoxify the body in many different means. We'll get to that in a later broadcast. Also the spirit. So we want to think very high-level thoughts and emotions and live by those higher principles at all times. For now, let's focus on transforming our thoughts from whatever negative form they are in to a much more positive state. Let's start with that. We also transform our emotions to positive ones, the most powerful being love, a spiritual love for all people, all things, for the world around us. The more we raise that frequency of energy, the more energy and power we take on to influence the world around us. Suppose we transform all our thoughts to positive ones at all times, and transform all our emotions to a spiritual love for all being and all things at all times. The amplitudes of energy we project hugely increase at all times. We can manifest truly incredible things. The problem, of course, is getting there, because it's all easier said than done. This also is in concert with what Nikola Tesla talked about many years ago. And once we begin to examine ourselves as energy beings, and the thoughts and emotions as energy, it will change all the science, which it definitely will do. Thank you, folks, for joining us for this episode of Mind Shock. You can find The Endless Question free on Amazon Prime. It's on your TV. Pull up your TV, go to Amazon Prime, pull up The Endless Question. You can also find our books and films on our website, www.RonDalrymple2.com. You can find our books also on Amazon Prime. Looking forward to seeing you next time, folks. Thanks a lot. Take care.
This has been Mind Shock with Dr. Ron Dalrymple. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to future episodes. Check out our website for more content.